Every who down in Who Newville liked the holidays a ton, but where to get great prices on gifts they had no idea. None. They searched and they searched for great gifts under $25. Gifts for spouses and friends and even their toddlers. When suddenly one who shouted, Walmart has what you want, knowing they have Lego, Tree Hut, and low prices to flaunt. So they enjoy the holiday season as Who's often do. Cheering and shouting, Walmart has incredible gifts. Who knew? Find gifts they'll love under $25 at Walmart.
This episode is presented by State Farm. Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like needing the protection of an offensive guard on the football field, but getting an elementary school crossing guard. Sure, they're both guards, but you can only trust one to keep your quarterback safe when the game is on the line. So don't settle for just any insurance when there's State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Buckeye Talk is about to begin. Hey, 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 come on in.
Welcome back to Buckeye Talk. I'm Stephen Means, and I'm joined by Stefan Krajisnik, Jimmy Watkins, and Andrew Gillis. After Ohio State's 27-9 win over Michigan, snapping a 4-game losing streak, and in the process, they have ended Michigan's season, essentially. They'll go to like a bowl game, but they are now no longer in the college football playoff hunt. They will not go to the Big Ten championship game. Ohio State will go to the Big Ten championship game, and they have more or less guaranteed themselves a bye at bare minimum. Now, whether that's the 1 seed or the 3 seed, I guess we'll find out next week when they go back to Indianapolis for the first time since 2020 to face Indiana in the Big Ten championship game. This is an interesting group of people here, I think. So, Stefan, starting with you, we're not going to go an hour and a half because we're actually in the coaches' room that they called plays in. Some of those plays were good, some of them were bad. But, Stefan, what is your biggest takeaway from Ohio State's win on Saturday?
I'll actually share a funny story about the coaches' room because you just reminded me of this. As Steven and I were leaving the press box to go down to the field, the clock had hit 000, and the coaches came running down the hallway, like Billy Fessler, Brian Harline, and a bunch of like the analysts and people who work with the offensive staff. And one of the coaches dropped his like binder, and all the play sheets just spilled in the press box. And I was like, man, if this was halftime, like this would be fascinating. Like the game is over, so I guess it doesn't matter that the play sheets are out. Maybe if like Cignetti has a spy, his version of Stallions working at Michigan, like that would be useful. But that was really the only time outside of one Julian Sam fumble or interception that Ohio State fumbled the bag today. It was very clean on both sides of the ball for the most part, and just a very professional way for Ohio State to end the skid. Like, and I don't even mean just in the sense of like the way they approach this week and the routine that they follow, or the way that they were adamant about not planting the flag and stuff like that post game, and celebrating with humility. I just thought the way they played was professional. Early interception, moved on from it. Michigan had a few drives, but you're sitting in the press box telling yourselves like, ending in field goals, like that's going to do nothing for you. Like you hear that all the time in the NFL. It's like, you got to get 7 on this drive. Like getting 3 is going to do nothing for you. Michigan had 2. They had a good drive, and then they had a drive that was set up in good field position because of Julian's interception. Only ended in 6 points. Ohio State threw some punches back, called explosive plays at the right times, executed those explosive plays. Obviously, the 4th and 5 to Jeremiah, the deep ball to Carnell Tate, the touchdown drive that ends with the Brandon Ennis touchdown. And you got to the end of the third quarter and into the fourth quarter, and you could kind of sense the game is over. And Ohio State's like, all right, we don't need to run up the score. We don't need to do anything out of pocket. Here's a 20-play drive down your freaking face, and that's the game. And it's just like, you just watch this team that had all the emotions possible going into this game of trying to get trying to make sure another senior class doesn't leave without gold pants. And in every moment where we're sitting there being like, is this where they run it up? Is this where they run a trick play out of nowhere? Is this where they do this? And it was like, no, we're just going to run the clock because we know our defense is going to get stops and we're going to be fine. And it was just a very professional approach by Ohio State, and really an impressive win for a game that so many times we've seen Ohio State tighten up and lose. And I don't want to say a game that the game that they always tighten up and lose because of what happened early with that Julian Saint interception and, Michigan going up 6-0. We've seen Ohio State crumble so many times the last 4 years in that exact moment, and they didn't do it. And it was kind of like, you were watching like 35-year-olds out there playing and not a bunch of like 18 to 22-year-old kids.
Jimmy, I'm going to go to you last. And you, when Gillis and Jimmy throws a pick on the second offensive play of the game for Ohio State, what are you thinking?
Bill Murray had a really good acting job in the movie Groundhog Day, and I started to feel that a little bit. Michigan pulls off a 36-yard run, and they run the ball downfield, and they kick a field goal. It's like, ending in 7 there probably would have been good for Michigan, but like, hey, ran the ball decently well in the first drive, fine. And then an Ohio State quarterback against Michigan threw an interception in his own end, and I went, seen this one before. Because we saw it in 23 when Kyle McCord, he had the slant route to Marv that went awry. And then Will Howard had the out route, which never had a chance. And now Julian Sayin does it. And like we had talked on the pod like all week of like, hey, this is just not like, what evidence do we have that Julian's going to do it? And like us four were talking off the pod, the other day of like, well, it takes like a tip pass and then it's one thing, or like one time that happens. And you're kind of in like, and I said it at the time, like I looked at Jimmy, I was sitting next to him in the press box, and I went, when they held Michigan to that field goal and it was 6-0, I looked at him, I said, Ohio State's going to win. Because Michigan had that chance. Like, people listening to this know exactly what they were feeling in their gut. That happens, Michigan goes up 10-0. It is 100%. Here it goes again. And frankly, I bet you there was probably some of that for the players, but they avoided it. And all of a sudden you get the ball back. It's like, hey, we just played maybe the worst 5 minutes we could play, and we're only down 6-0. Yeah, like when that happened, you kind of started to think like, and Ohio State got the best of both worlds today. They used their weapons as they should have. They threw the ball to Jeremiah. They threw the ball to Carnell. The Innis touchdown I thought was a great play design where he kind of like slid behind. I think it was Max Clare, caught the touchdown pass. Like it was just a really, really well thought out, good game plan, which had not always been the case in this game. And then you get to pair that on the fact with Ohio State fans and Ryan Day and everybody on this team gets to say, man, Michigan had 108 yards rushing in the first half, and they ended with 100 yards rushing in the game. And then we had a 20 play something yard, 11-minute, 56 drive where I think it was Bill Landis who said they were mashing ass on that drive. That's a really good way to put it. So they won the line of scrimmage, the thing that had been their bugaboo for the last couple of years. And by the way, they did it because they were throwing the ball to their best players. They avoided what could have been a disastrous first couple of minutes.
They did the game plan that we all said would work against Michigan. Like last year would have worked against Michigan too.
I told y'all I'm making t-shirts. Throw the ball. Jimmy, here's my question to you. Because I asked this last year when we were doing this. I think I asked all of you guys, when did you realize Ohio State was going to lose this football game? Because it wasn't like I don't know if we came into the game just thinking that. I think it just kind of played out that way over time. When did you realize Ohio State was going to win the football game in 2025?
Second touchdown pass before the half. Once they went up 2 scores, there just reaches a point where we're going to tie this into the defense. It reaches a point where you realize this is borderline not feasible.
Yeah.
For Michigan. Or Michigan's going to have to do something this year that they have not done at all in order to win this game against the best defense that they've seen. The best defense that any of us have seen since 2016 at least by yards per play. Or what is it? They're the 12th. They're the first team to allow fewer than 17 points in all 12 games since 1975.
Yeah.
So it's been a long time since we've seen a defense as good. That's kind of my theme. That's what I wrote the game. I actually don't think the game plan, the intention was that different this year. I just think that they had more wiggle room because this defense is a notch above. Because you look at the way they came out conservative. We'd all agree with that. Ben throws the pick. 3 of their next 11 plays are pass plays. They're running the ball. And they can do that because they're only down 6-0 instead of being down 10-0. It's the first half. It doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but I think psychologically, particularly for this team in this game, it makes a massive difference to be down 1 possession as opposed to 10-0. And really, it's about both teams were trying very hard to protect their young freshman quarterbacks today. And I think you double down on that when he makes an early mistake in a game of this magnitude. That was the second pick that Julian Sayin has thrown since September against an FBS team this year. He has not made that level of mistake at all this season with these kind of stakes. So it's a natural inclination for a coach to want to settle down in that moment. But are you able to do that if you're down 10-0? Are you able to do that if you feel like we got going here? We're Michigan starts now. Every Michigan carry starts to become a race against the clock. That's kind of what this rivalry has been. Michigan takes an early lead, and they just start sitting on it. And something as simple as it's the third year in a row that an Ohio State quarterback has thrown an ugly first half interception.
Mm-hmm.
The first two resulted in touchdowns that swung one-score games. This one became a field goal. That makes it easy. I'm not trying to take away from the mettle that they showed. I just think that the defense, when you have a foundation like that to fall back on, everything feels smaller.
And he's talked about that. It's when your defense is good, it sways every decision you make in terms of chin versus conservative. And I think we saw that play out. There were moments when they were aggressive. There was a moment when they're in the middle of the field and we're thinking, oh, it's 4th and 2. Maybe you should go for it, right? Because you know your defense can get a stop. It's like, or we can just punt it and we'll get the ball back in 4 plays or something here, and it's fine.
And then you'll throw a 50-yard ball.
Right. I think what you saw, you saw complementary football. The run game complemented the pass game. The pass game complemented the run game. The defense complemented the offense. The offense complemented the defense. The special teams, there was not a single mistake on special teams. And then when they called on Julian Sand, he made a play. Everything that happened today did not happen the last 4 years. In terms of, if this is supposed to happen, it happens. If Julian Sand's supposed to make a chip shot, Jalen Fielding is supposed to make a chip shot field goal, he makes a chip shot field goal. If Julian Sand is supposed to hit on the 50-yarder because Carnell Tate broke open 5 yards open, he hits, right? Even the interception, the reason why I don't think I panicked the way that I think you would have panicked the last 2 years, and all of you have touched on it, the track record already showed you that this was going to happen, and Ohio State was going to have to overcome it. But we've also seen the defense being unable to overcome it, right? Ohio State had a similar drive the last time it played here. It wasn't 20 plays, but it was kind of a, now we're going to play Michigan ball and bully you down the field. And they score a touchdown. Michigan responds and goes, okay, we can do that too. So the defense didn't get off the field. That's where the defense didn't show up. CJ Stroud was kind of amazing in the 2 times he played this team, but the defense couldn't stop the run, and then they gave up explosives in 2022. Last year, the defense did its job. Caleb Downs got picks. Jack Sawyer got picks. And the offense didn't do its job to help the defense. So when you get a day where maybe it is that simple of it, everybody just does what they're supposed to do, you win by almost 20 versus the last couple of years, you put yourself in situations where you're not doing your job. So when you make a mistake, you get tight, you let Michigan hang around. And then if Michigan can just hang around to the 4th quarter, maybe something can happen. They didn't let Michigan hang around to the 4th quarter. Michigan scored 9 points in the first half and did not score for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I think where this game swung, and look, maybe this is a fun activity to listen in 2030 and say maybe the rivalry swung back because of this play. But it ties into the defense, and it ties into what we were saying at the beginning. The 4th and 5 call to Jeremiah to go for the touchdown, like put yourself back in the mentality of where that place was. It was 6-3, early second quarter. Ohio State had not only thrown the pick in their own end, but they had also just marched down the field, gotten to the half centimeter line for 4 plays in a row, didn't get it, had a touchdown overturned, or not overturned, but called off. It would have been a touchdown because of a false start penalty. Then you have to kick a field goal. All of a sudden, it's like, man, it's 6-3. This game could be a lot worse. Ohio State had the chance to take advantage, and then they were right there. And these moments were just kind of building up, and those were moments that had just not swung Ohio State's way. And we talk about it, how quick this game can turn, and it's literally the movie quote from Any Given Sunday. Life's this game inches, football's this game inches. Jeremiah makes a great route, or has a great route. They find him down the field. Jeremiah bobbles it as he's going into the end zone. They rule it a touchdown, half an inch, half a yard, half a foot earlier, and it's Jeremiah had a walk-in touchdown. He just fumbled out of the back of the end zone. Ohio State not only has, okay, cool, they stopped Michigan from getting 14 points or 10 points, they have also shot themselves in the foot. And that just didn't happen. And I think that was the reason that you call that play, is because, one, you trust your best player. You trust your maybe second, third best player, whatever you want to say, Carnell, Jeremiah, and Julian, whatever that ranking is. You trust one of your best players to make a throw. Jeremiah, yes, I was saying Carnell or Julian, number 2 and 3. But you trust one of your best players to make a throw. You trust your best player to make a catch and, at that point, score. And then I'm sure Ryan Day and that staff was thinking, man, our defense is probably fine. If we don't get this 4th down, we're probably fine. And I think, to your point, Steven, there's probably a lot of people that were watching that going we missed this, we missed that. I can't believe we did this. I can't believe we did that. Why didn't we do this? Why didn't we do that? And we're still down 6-3. This is not good. Michigan's got ball back, blah, 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 blah. And Ohio State just had a level of faith in their guys, and the moments for them this year swung, and they just have not. So that to me was where things changed, and it was because of that confidence in the defense, and it was because you had confidence in your quarterback and your playmakers to go make a play.
But one thing I want to, because Jimmy had kind of said this, was the point you were making, you thought they were still conservative with the play calling after the pick?
They literally ran the ball 8 of the next 11 plays.
Yeah, but I don't think that was a conservative thing. I just think, and we had talked about this, and we talked about it nicely because it's like, I think you can run the ball on Michigan. Don't, but I genuinely think that they have been watching Michigan film and thinking, we can push them in the trenches, and also, if we get Bo Jackson to the second level, they're not going to have an answer for that.
How much of that do you think, though, Jimmy, was a result of the first 2 plays, even if the second one ended with a pick, was shots to Cardell and Jeremiah? And make Michigan say, like, oh, these guys are healthy and they're going at them. And then you come back from the pick and you're like, all right, you're worried about those guys. Now we can run it down your throat.
Yeah, it's the same. I mean, it's like Michigan was more concerned about the deep shots in the pass game than they were about the run game. And so you at a certain point, you do have to break them out of that, right?
Yeah.
You have to take advantage. You're giving me a soft look. Okay, we're gonna run the ball. We're gonna try and push you out of that, and then we'll have the opportunity to take deep shots on that. I get that. I also still think that the psychology of when you're a young quarterback throws a pick in the big house in his 12th career start I think that played a factor as well. And it's also just the anatomy of a slow start. However you got there, this game felt like the last 2 a lot.
Yeah.
Over the first 15 minutes, and it didn't turn out that way because the defense stiffened in the right place.
The defense was significantly better. More importantly, and I had been talking about this, and I just never got around to getting a chance to Friday, but ignorance is bliss. Like, Julian he didn't throw those picks the last 3 years. Like, that's not my problem. That's Will's problem. That's Kyle's problem. That's CJ's problem. I didn't do any of that. This is my first time here. I've never even played in the snow before. Arvo Reese and Kenyatta Jackson and Caden Curry and Caden McDonald. All right, man, we didn't give up those big runs to Michigan.
He was in high school the last time they played in the big house.
Right. Like, all these guys, though, I do think there is an element of Reese. It's the beauty of college sports, right? It resets every 3 or 4 years. That's a thing. And you had kept saying it throughout the game. I'm like, it's going to get tight. It's going to get tight. I don't know, because these guys don't know any better. When you don't know how something can go wrong, I think that can sometimes play into your favor because you don't get tight. Those guys last year know what it looks like to go wrong. They know what happens when it starts snowing at halftime, and Michigan's kind of into it. And it's like, oh, this is turning. They gave up one big play, and now it's like, oh, it's going to happen again. Jake Butt was going on a lot of podcasts this week, and he was telling his experience as a guy who lost this game 4 years in a row. And sometimes something as simple as, like, you gave up a 7-yard gain. Okay, you gave up a 7-yard gain. Let's keep playing football. But when you have that knowledge of, oh, here it comes, it's going to go how it always goes. And I do wonder if that psyche had kind of gotten into that old era to now they're gone, and these guys are kind of reset a little bit. I mean, Jordan Marshall's first run of the game, like, how many years in the past does that, like, set up something and they give up a touchdown?
Well,
they give up a field goal.
You talk about the snow thing. Sonny Styles said that when it started snowing, he was sitting on the sideline with, who was he talking to? I can't remember. I think maybe it was Peyton Pierce.
Yeah.
And Sonny literally, like, looked up and was like, dude, like, we're playing in the game and it's snowing in late November. Like, how cool is this? Like, I don't know if last year's players were saying that.
No.
Granted, I understand Sonny's probably the bad example because he has been part of this, unlike, like Caden Curry.
Peyton Pierce has it.
Peyton Pierce has it, yeah.
Like, to them, it's like, I mean, this is
to them, like, this is sick.
TV to me.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing. Again, 36-yard. Ryan Day said this after the game. You get a 36-yard run, and he's like, are you kidding me? This is not how this is supposed to go. In years past, it wouldn't have just been Ryan Day saying that. They hold him to a field goal. Okay, first drive of the defensive game, you gave up a 30-yard run. That's probably a touchdown last year. You give up a pick, that's probably a touchdown last year because it's been a touchdown in years past. Yes, you are correct. If we're just going to talk X's and O's, this defense is amazing. They have given up, the most points they've given up is 16, and 7 of those points came in garbage time. They've been giving up garbage time touchdowns for the last couple of weeks here. So that is not wrong. But I do think in a game like this, just the mental capacity of not knowing any better probably helped Ohio State because they just kept playing football. And Sonny Styles got asked about, hey, giving up that run, he said, we went over to the sideline, we fixed it, we kept playing. Hey, Julian, what happened? What's your psyche after a pick? I don't know, I got fooled. We fixed it. And I went out there and kept playing football. And that's okay. In fact, that's what you would rather have versus like, yeah, we got tight and we had to talk ourselves out of it and pull ourselves out of a hole. No, it's just I don't know, football.
I think that's true. I also think that psyche is top down, and I think Ryan Day was more collected in those moments today.
Yes.
And why do you think that is? Because I think this dude knows he's got an all-world defense back. There's like, yeah, no problem is too big
Yeah.
for those guys to solve. The ring helps. The ring helps.
You want to know the other reason why?
Also, it's Matt Patricia now. That's another new element to this, right?
Yeah.
If we're talking about psyche being top down, the guy who's running that defense, he doesn't know this. He doesn't know this rivalry from Adam either. Of course, we're all familiar with it, but he didn't live that stuff. Jim Knowles lived it for 2 years, just like everybody else. Clearly, didn't mean as much to him because he ran off to Penn State. I think teams take on the personality of their leaders, and beyond that, their coaches, the people who hold the microphones and run the meetings. And those people were more calm today, in part because of what you're saying, because there's new blood in here, but in part just because like there's a force field on the field.
Yeah, everywhere
that protects
good.
everyone from everything.
Yeah, that's fair. When you know that we can spend time figuring this out because you're not going to score in the process, which is why they handled the Texas game the way they had. They've been able to do things on offense where it's like, we'll just go on our pace. And when it's time to throw a bomb, we'll throw a bomb. And in the meantime, we'll keep working out the run game and working it out. And eventually, Bo will break one. Any other football things people want to bring up before?
It felt like the game plan was. It felt like the game plan was every other Ohio State game. Like, I know that the whole like talking point all week is like treat this like any other game and prepare like any other game. And there's some more rah-rah to it, but you know the routine is the routine. Like, I thought the way they played was just very routine. Like more than anything. It felt. I said it a few times on the pod this week, so sorry that I'm repeating myself. It kind of felt like what I thought it was going to be. The Texas game with a little more trust in Julian.
Yeah.
And that's,
literally.
I just keep, when we kept saying, like, it's hard to find a football reason why. Like, I'm going into this postseason, and there's going to be games where it's Georgia's really good, Indiana's really good, maybe Ohio State's, I don't, Gillis, can you pull up the spread for Indiana, Ohio State? Just
Is it out?
It was like
look ahead
5.
was 6.5.
Yeah. Maybe it'll be closer to 10 now. Whatever it is.
Sorry. No, go ahead.
It just feels like Ohio State is guaranteed to score 24 points, and it feels like Ohio State 6.5, and it feels like
48.
it feels like Ohio State's guaranteed to not give up more than like 20 points.
I don't even know about that yet. Like,
Right.
I think scoring 2 touchdowns on Ohio State is an impossible task.
It
On their starters.
Yes, it feels that way, and that's why it's just like that's why it's so hard to find a reason why this team loses a game. Is because like if one area of the game, let's say they score 20 points, I don't know if they're going to give up that much.
Yeah.
Let's say they give up 17 points. I don't think they're going to score less than that. You know what I mean? Like, this is the best all-around team in college football, and it feels not close right now. And this Michigan game felt like a result of that, where it's like, once Ohio State got that second touchdown Jimmy was talking about, they got to like 17. And I said, once they got to 24, I literally looked over at Jimmy and Gillis. I said, Bryce Underwood's not scoring 24 points in this game. And Jimmy was like, well, they just need 25. And I was like, I don't think they're getting to 24.
So what happened was they scored the touchdown to go up 24-9, and I went, wow, Stefan's going for it. Because, I mean, we all have each other's Twitter notifications on. I looked at my phone, and Stefan just tweeted, next week in Indianapolis will be, and I was like, there's like 7.5 minutes left in the third quarter.
It was done. Bryce Underwood was not going to score 24 points on this defense.
There's one more football reason.
I'll just say the 50-yard touchdown that's a kill shot.
It is. 100%. That's the nail on the coffin right there. The last football reason is that Michigan doesn't have the horses. Bryce Underwood, as Stephen was talking about after the game, freshman we've never seen anything like. I've seen something like this performance. It was last year. It's like when Davis Warren was playing against Ohio State football. 63 yards passing? 8 of 18?
He had 63 yards. No, he had 64 total yards. And he touches the ball every time it gets snapped.
And they made it a point to run him at the beginning of this game. And I mean, like, Andrew Marsh is a good player, like a very good player. Like, he won at times today, but Ohio State can, if you have one skill player against this defense, they can take you out of the game.
Andrew Marsh had 1 target on the day, and it says 0 in the stats because it's the pass interference call. That's his only target on the day, which is, I mean, imagine if Jeremiah Smith had 1 target today and it was a pass interference. Right, he had like 4 targets, and we were like, "What the heck are you doing? Are you serious?"
Bryce made 1 good throw today.
Oh yeah, the throw to McCulley over the middle. I'll say that Bryce Underwood had 64 total yards, and he touches the ball every snap. Jeremiah Smith only got the ball 3 times today, and he had 40 yards. I'm not here to talk trash about Bryce Underwood, but I just think if you're gonna write checks, you better start cashing them. You cannot say Hey, I talked to LeBron James in the offseason. I told him it's over for Ohio State. Hey, they've never seen a freshman like me, especially when your rival actually has a freshman that we've never seen before. And then you do that your first time in the rivalry. That's just not, that doesn't cut it for me.
I want to say something along those lines, but it's not football reasons. So I'll bring it up later.
One last bow on football reasons. Michigan is not built for Bryce Underwood to cash that check right now. And maybe I'm not asking for self-awareness from a 17-year-old is a big ask.
It's
a big ask.
But you understand where I'm coming from. We actually asked JJ all these. Hey, you're gonna be awesome, right? Hey, you're like the LeBron James of football, right? And he just kept going. No, I haven't done anything yet. We'll see. I'm just trying to learn the playbook. I'm just trying to walk. I'm just trying to follow Emeka Ibuka around. He let us play, and now he's getting cocky. It wasn't until this past summer, after he played an entire season, where he goes, "I'm telling you, I'm not losing to this team again."
And then I'm posting a picture of me flipping off,
which I think is so necessary. I think this rivalry. I think Bryce Underwood is necessary. I just want him to cash the checks because this game doesn't have enough superstars who are like that. It's typically the secondary character who was like Marcus Hall wasn't a superstar when he flipped the bird, right? Roman Wilson talking crazy after the game is fine, but he's a role player. We need more JJ McCarthy's. We need more Cardell Joneses. We need more Terrell. The dudes who are like the frontline guys who are like, there's nothing you can do about me, dude. So to see Bryce Underwood act like that, but then not back it up was disappointing because JJ guaranteed to win in the summertime. So if he didn't win this game, we'd be going, hey, JJ, what you doing, bud? Thought you was going to win the game. I remember when Caden Curry was coming out of high school and he was coming to Ohio State, and that was after the first loss. And he was like, that's not happening ever again. And it happened, right? But that's what makes sports fun. So I want to see, for the betterment of the rivalry, it is a good thing for the rivalry, even if Ohio State fans don't care, if Bryce Underwood turns into what he's supposed to turn into. Because him and Julian Sand going head-to-head again next year is fun for the sport. Him and Tavian St. Clair going up against each other is fun for the sport. 64 yards. This defense is awesome.
Fun for Ohio State.
It's fun for Ohio State.
Which, we were using a different F word talking about Ohio State at this time last year, so this is fun.
And Ryan Day said fun is kicking ass, and that's what they did.
Oh, yeah.
Is that all the football stuff? Okay, let's take a break because
Sonny Styles was awesome in this game. Forgot to mention
Sonny Styles, I think, had the best game of his career in this game. I think he didn't do it cognitively, but like everybody's so enamored with Harvell Reese. It's like, hey man, we're the same size. I can do those things too.
Sonny also had a great post-game quote. Like the first question he got, like great answer. Like, we did this well. Like, it was, we really wanted to be Michigan. Like, said all the right stuff. And then at the end, randomly just goes, yeah, we came out in the second half and whooped them. And it was just like the most casual, like,
it was humble.
Okay.
It was so humble. That it's easy to miss it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a break and then we'll come back. And Jimmy's touching on something, but he doesn't want to admit he's touching on it. And so I'm going to make him touch on it here on Buckeye Talk.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just
Speaking into the void.
But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
'Tis the season for all your holiday favorites, like A Very Jonas Christmas Movie and Home Alone on Disney+.
Did I burn down the joint? I don't think so.
Then Hulu has National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
We're all in for a very big Christmas treat.
All of these and more streaming this holiday season. And right now, save big with our special Black Friday offer. Bundle Disney Plus and Hulu for just $4.99 a month for 1 year. Savings compared to current regular monthly price. Ends 12/1. Offer for ad-supported Disney Plus Hulu bundle only. Then $12.99 a month or then current regular monthly price. 18 plus terms apply.
Purina believes no one should have to make the impossible choice between their own safety and their pets. But nearly half of domestic abuse survivors delay leaving because they can't bring their pets with them. Through the Purple Leash Project, Purina is helping create more pet-friendly domestic violence shelters so survivors and their pets can escape and heal together. Visit Purina.com/purple to learn more.
Hello, I'm Diane Morgan. If you know who I am, you know who I am. If you don't, who cares? I'm here to explain Italian Time, a holiday phenomenon where Italians throw away their clocks and gather for eternity with San Pellegrino. I've been at this party so long that I've eaten 5 courses, hugged someone's grandma twice, and been offered a job in the family restaurant. So this holiday season, make sure to bring enough San Pellegrino to last you through the meal, the after meal, and the entire goodbye ritual. San Pellegrino, holiday on Italian time.
And we're back here on Buckeye Talk. Stephen Means, Andrew Gillis, Jimmy Watkins, and Stefan Krajisnik after Ohio State's 27-9 win over Michigan.
It will not stop snowing.
It's getting hard. It's snowing harder.
I mean, some of this is because it's like coming off of the lights out there, so it maybe looks a little worse than it actually is. It's a little more flurry-ish, but we're here. We're in the press box talking about Ohio State's win. So I'm going to present this to the table, and then I'm just going to move out of the way. I said this in our video. I think too much was made of how Ryan Day decided to have Ohio State handle things off the field. And not that it needed to be acknowledged, but it became too much of a talking point for both sides, whether you were pro or against it. When at the end of the day, this is results-based, and you're either a genius or an idiot depending on what the result is. And to the point you were talking about from a football perspective of doing what was necessary, being yourself, all of those different things, I get it. Plan time for war throughout the building is great. You know, having the band come in, all the culture stuff is great. But if it doesn't work for you, why keep doing it? And I think what we saw from today, whether it was how they played or how Sonny Styles or Julian Sand or Caden Curry, or I wasn't in there when Bo Jackson talked, but I'm assuming it's the same thing. They don't need to lean into that as much as Urban Meyer needed to lean into that to be successful in this rivalry. This is a professional football team and how they conduct themselves. And they're going to do things in a professional way. So I don't think it was the wrong thing for him to do to move all of that stuff off of Michigan week. Because you can't have all that stuff during Michigan week and then also be a professional football team. And it worked. If it had worked, we'd be, okay, go back to the drawing table and find something else out. But how they played football is how they act off of the field as well. And that shows up in, you said it, Stefan, this felt like any other Ohio State football game and how they played. Yep. That's because they approached it like every other Ohio State football game, Sunday through Friday. If they would have approached it the way Urban Meyer approached it, where you got to put your all into it and you're like, I feel all the pressure. I'm going to play the song. Everybody needs to be on edge. Don't you think we would have gotten a similar result to what we've gotten in the last 3 years?
Maybe, maybe not. It's
because it's about approach.
Yes, it is. But this team is so good that, like, I don't know, maybe it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah, the thing is, okay, they were the preseason favorite last year. Like, we're not talking about
they won.
They won. Yeah. We didn't go from, well, this team was like the number 12 team in the country to now they're the best team in college football. In fact, that team was veteran and so good that we came into this year going, hey, if they lose to Texas, don't freak out. Hey, if it takes them a couple of games to figure it out, they're young, they have 2 new coordinators, figure it out. I understand, in hindsight, we're like, yo, this team is amazing. Yeah. But that's not the way we talked about this team in August.
I think what I'll say is the routine helped them win this game and perform the way that they did. And I don't think when Caleb Downs I can't remember who he delivered the hit on, but he had a Michigan player at the end of the game wondering, like, why am I out here in the snow playing this game still? Like, I'm getting drilled by Caleb Downs. Like, this is not fun.
Yeah, Latham Ransom moment.
When that happened, I don't think it was a result of Ryan Day still having a press conference on a Tuesday. But I think Ryan Day still having a press conference on a Tuesday instead of a Monday was symbolic of how this team viewed this game and how they approached it. And I think where Ohio State was in the rivalry entering this game, I don't think they were in a spot where doing the rah-rah thing was right. I don't think it was right for Ryan Day.
He's not a rah-rah
and like Jimmy,
guy.
Like you said earlier, like it goes from the top down. Like Ryan Day is not a rah-rah guy. People turned on Ryan Day when he did the Lou Holtz thing because they thought it was kind of forced and cringy.
Because it was.
Like that.
Okay, so when
that's not him.
So when he does the thing you've been asking him to do, you can't also say, "Hey, don't do the thing I've been asking you to do for 4 years."
So I think the routine thing was overblown, probably a little bit in the sense of, like, again, a Tuesday press conference is not the difference between a win and a loss, but it's symbolic, I think, of the way they talked about and approached this game. And, like, listen, last year something was clearly broke in the rivalry, and Ryan Day took a step back and was like, "What if we move the band to the bye?" And again, not why they won or lost, but it was a sign that Ryan Day in the offseason took a step back and was like, we need to change something about Michigan. And at the end of the day, that was the right thing to do. Change something about Michigan. Because if you're willing to change your press conference schedule, that means you're probably willing to change your game plan and what you say in the huddle and what you say in the locker room and what you tell your team that whole week. Yeah, I don't care that the ban came during the second bye week. I don't think that actually matters. But I think what does matter is that Ryan Day had a different approach to this game after clearly needing a different approach to this game That's why it worked.
It's messaging. It's messaging, and it's not like this is where I think the new blood point helps on both sides. You have new Michigan players in here who don't know what it's like to own this program mentally the way some of the old players. And you could say the same thing about that team That team didn't know how to own its own pair of cleats. That Michigan team last year that they lost to. But it's new blood for Ohio State in that they don't feel the same anxiety that surrounds this game. But to me, Sonny Styles, we mentioned the Sonny Styles quote after the game. The early part of that quote sums it up for me. We played for the love of our brother instead of the hate of the enemy.
And Urban Meyer's teams played for the hate of the enemy.
For sure.
And it's fine because it worked for him.
Right. And I think what you said, Stephen, about this is a professional football team, that clicks a gear in my head. Like, as we go through all the change of college football and all the different reasons people are motivated now, of course, they still love the Block O. They still love singing Carmen, Ohio. Yeah. They still love being a Buckeye. It's different now, right? This is a little bit different.
4 more games after this.
There's less emotion in this, both because I think we have, and we can talk about what this means for the other side of the coin here, but today was a turning of a page in this rivalry. We grouped the last 4 years together because a lot of the same characters were involved and the results were similar, and it followed a similar narrative thread of Ohio State got so far in its own head about this game that it negated the massive talent advantage that it had in last year's game and the more slight talent advantages it had in the other games. 2023, I think, was kind of even, but like 2022, 2021, Ohio State's the better team in those games. And because it got in its own way in a variety of different ways, and of course, maybe because someone was play calling signals from the sidelines, they lost. They lost ugly. Now, it helps to be able to turn the page with different people. That helps with messaging. I think Ryan Day has understood for a few years now that, hey, I'm not this play with your heart outside of your chest kind of guy. And maybe I think last year, with looking back on it, look at the people involved, the way Ryan Day loved Jack Sawyer, the way Ryan Day loved a lot of the seniors in that class. I think he was trying to do that for them. He was trying to prove a point to them. This is a different crew. Now the card is flipped, right? The players are trying to do it for Ryan Day. And so they're mirroring him instead of the other way around because the dynamics have changed here.
He said it after the game that, I'd come in here in years past and kind of let loose, right, Gillis? And that time has passed. I think that moment of having the war of words with Jim Harbaugh lives in LA now. That era is kind of over with. But also, from the professionalism standpoint, they're not done, right? They have to go play the number 2 team in the country next week. So what you can't do is live in a world where they were missing a lot of dudes in that national championship game in 2020 because of COVID. But still, there was this idea then of there was so much put into that Clemson game that year. They literally had the score of the Fiesta Bowl up in the weight room all year, right? That's the rah-rah. Rah-rah is not the right word. He's a coach. All coaches have rah-rah in it. He's not performative. And there's nothing wrong with performative, but like Dan Lanning is performative. And it doesn't make him a bad coach. It doesn't make him a good coach. It's just his style.
He coaches on emotion. Sherrone coaches on emotion.
Maybe.
Yeah. He was running out of tunnel screaming and running. I think the perfect example, honestly, of the whole rah-rah thing is like, people were saying, how is Ohio State going to transition from Will Howard, rah-rah guy, to Julian Saint? It's like, I don't know, Julian Saint is going to be cool, calm, and collected, be himself, and it's going to work.
Yeah.
It's better than Julian going up there being like, I'm going to give a big speech because I'm the quarterback. It's like, you're Julian Saint, that's not going to work for you.
Yeah, so be that. They needed last year. They needed the rah-rah guy to pull them out of that hole. This year, they need a dude who's going to throw a pick. They're like, all right, well, I'm just going to go 3 tugs after that. And we'll win this game, and then next week we'll go play the number 2 team in the country. And then after that, we'll have a month off. And if we win that game, then we'll go play in the Rose Bowl. And then after that, we'll go play in the Fiesta Bowl. And then we'll go play in Miami. And then we'll have spring football. And then we'll have fall camp. And then I'll go do it again next year. And then go be the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. Whatever. JJ, you can do all the rah-rah stuff for me. I'm just going to throw the ball to you guys. Yeah, you can cash the checks. You can write them too. I'm just going to play football. Gillis, you've been mad quiet.
So before the game, I looked at Steven and I made a comment about the routine of the week. And Steven got a little frowny face and went, you better keep that same energy after the game. And he didn't pick up that I was like making fun of the idiocy of this whole thing.
Yeah, I read it wrong.
Because here's my point. If fans of this podcast, I'm not saying you would have been wrong to do this, but like if Ryan Day's doing routine, we're keeping everything the same, we're flying, we're doing this, we're doing that. And then Sonny Styles sits down on Wednesday and goes, hey, and I look at him and I say, hi, Sonny, how are you today? And he goes, ready for war. every single person listening to this podcast would be like, oh, hell yeah.
Sure.
Oh, let's go. And so it's like you said, Steven, it was a routine thing where it was like, if you're saying, oh, it's routine, we have to focus on the routine, we have to be focused on this, we have to be focused on that. Well, okay, we're just going to treat it like normal. If it doesn't work, we would be sitting here right now going like, they underplay the game. Like, did they undersell how important this game was and what it meant? And are they still going to get a bye? And like, look how they may have screwed their season and blah, blah, blah. But like, if they came out here and they were like, you know what? Forget everything else. Indiana, the state doesn't exist. We need to focus on Michigan this week. Or team up north this week. So it was like, I got tired of it. I remember it was like Thursday, it was like Thanksgiving, right around the afternoon. I saw somebody like post something about it. I was like, all right, they're gonna win or they're gonna lose. And the routine is the routine, and it's either gonna be a good thing or a bad thing that they did it. And I kind of reached a point where I was like, to me, the psychological advantage wasn't gonna happen or be successful or be a failure Saturday. What time did that Rutgers game end? Like 3:30. It wasn't going to be from Saturday at 3:30 or whatever to Saturday at noon. It was going to be what happens when some S goes wrong at the big house. And some S went wrong. And like you said, Stefan took the words out of my mouth. So I was just kind of like listening to this like, not this again. I was like, okay, Ohio State did not win the game today because they flew. Ohio State did not win the game today because Ryan Day said, just like any other week.
Flying might have mattered. Weather sucks.
I
would have been sitting on the sideline.
They won the game because of all the football reasons of the psychology behind it. And I think, did the week help? Yeah, but that didn't.
This is not and I think it's not like.
It's messaging, like Jimmy said. It's messaging.
Yeah, it's not like they didn't hang out with the band this week, so that's why I want. No, it's you chose the approach that fit you as a head coach, as the leader of this program, and also the identity of this program that follows your lead. And so because of that, everybody was in the right mental space to attack this in the preparation, in practice, in whatever else, and then how you executed on the field. That's what it is. That's your job as a coach, especially now that he's a CEO. He's not calling the plays. It's Brian Hartline's job to call the plays. Does Brian Hartline need to be worried about, hey, we got to make sure we do senior tackle? No, worry about putting a game plan together. Be organized. Matt Patricia needs to worry about the X's and O's. It's his job to worry about the culture. And now that he's not calling plays, that's all he needs to worry about is the culture and making sure everybody's aligned in their thinking. And that thinking is what he's doing, how he walks, how he talks. I hate that we've talked to less people this year. It's obviously for the ability to do our jobs. It would have been nice to talk to more people. But it also, there is a message in that. There's one voice. There's one attitude. And it's Ryan Day. You don't need to hear it from Brian Hartline. You don't need to hear it from Matt Patricia. You don't need to hear it from Julian Sand. You don't even need to hear it from the captains. It would be nice to hear it from everybody else, but they're going to tell you the same. How many times have we talked to Ryan Day on a Tuesday and then Wednesday, a player said the exact same thing that Ryan Day just said on a Tuesday? That's a program that's working.
They call that synergy.
Yeah, that's what you want.
Well, in this biz, they call it Saban, but
all right, TLDR of that last segment, which I think we all had our good little punches in on. Michigan was better at the juice part of this rivalry. Hold on.
But does that matter?
Here's the thing. You can make it not matter by disassociating yourself from that part of the rivalry. And if you just so happen to bring in a bunch of kids who are stone cold killers instead of outward emotional in your face kind of killers, now you got a perfect marriage to change the DNA, right? Yeah. I think the DNA of this rivalry was changed a little bit.
And that's who Ohio State was post-game today, too.
Yeah, like they're all.
That's who they were post-game.
Think about it. There wasn't like relief on anybody's faces. They're all like, this was.
No, Ryan Day had a little relief on his face.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay, he did. But like Sonny Styles is like, yeah, we won't put this in the rearview mirror. Right.
But again, it's like, you can't go all week being like, we're not rah-rah, and then like, getting a brawl after the game. It's like, okay, you are rah-rah. You just displayed, you just said something. Yeah. The way they celebrate, I know they like tried,
that's what I said.
There was a couple guys, but it's like, who they were post game was who they were all week.
There's rah-rah.
The messaging is working.
Rah-rah's not. You have to be rah-rah in sports, especially football. It's a dangerous sport. Performative. It's not performative, and that's not saying that performative is negative. Dan Lanning is a performative head coach, and that's why you guys like him. And there's nothing wrong with that because at least it got him a Big Ten championship.
I think that's actually who he is. Like,
that's Dan Lanning? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think
be yourself.
But I think that's the thing with being a young head coach who's doing this for the first time. Yeah. Ryan Day didn't get the advantage of finding his identity at Bowling Green or Utah. He's already in the brightest light possible. Urban Meyer, Bowling Green, Utah, Florida, Ohio State, Nick Saban, Kent State, Michigan State, LSU, time at Miami Dolphins, Alabama. We don't live in that era where like you're hopping around anymore. You just kind of Lincoln Riley, right? Brian Hartline, Kirby Smart. But it's like these guys where it's
Lane
like
Kiffin didn't find himself until Ole Miss. Who was Lane Kiffin before Ole Miss?
Right.
Nobody thought he was good.
So, but imagine having to do that, and you're already starting at the finish line in terms of, and that's not a third base comment. It's we're watching him grow. This is year 7 for him. Where was Nick Saban in year 7? You think he had it all figured out?
By the way, the flip side of that right now, Michigan side of this, who was waiting? Michigan was ready for a fight after that game.
Yep.
Who was waiting at the block end? Who was waiting? The whole team. Who after the game? Sharon Moore at the podium, bleary-eyed, like that man had been crying.
I said it during the game, but it's part of what this is, right? Michigan has come in here for the last 5 years with the goal of we're going to start the fight and we're going to win the fight. Ohio State has been trying to win the game. And anytime Michigan has dragged Ohio State into the fight, they've lost. G. Scott headbutting the dude. You remember that, Jimmy? Right? Last year, 2023. Ohio State never really, Jermaine Matthews took the bait a little bit, but that's his role, right? That's why you need a little bit of Stone Cold Killer. Jermaine Matthews, JJ, Brandon Ennis, Davis and Igbinosun, those are the dudes who are going to do that, and it's fine. But we're not going to fight you, man. We're just going to win the football game. And then we're going to, I think Will Kazmaier tried to plant the flag. And then Ryan Day's like, no. Get your butts in the locker room. We got to play Indiana next week.
It is funny. We went from Ohio State being dumb and headbutting people to Michigan being like, well, if they're not going to fight, I'll just headbutt the ref myself. If you don't want to headbutt me, I'll headbutt the ref.
It's still not getting ejected. Ryan Day had a quote. I asked him about Julian Sand on Tuesday. The quote is, just win, that's it. Just lead the team to victory. Whatever that looks like and however that is, that's the number one goal. I don't think he's just talking to Julian. Like, just whatever you got to do to win the football game, just do that. Because if you win the game, everything you did this week was genius. If you lose the game, to Gillis' point, we're going, maybe you underthought it. Just like if Urban Meyer had been losing, we'd have been like, are you overthinking this a little bit? Because you're from here and you get it a little bit.
Can I say something that ties into the rah-rah thing?
Sure.
Because I think it's fascinating. And I joked about this with Bill Landis in the post-game press conference while we were waiting for Ryan Day. Ohio State humiliated Michigan in the most, humble way
possible. Makes the fact that Michigan kept trying to start fights makes it look that much worse.
Michigan waited on the block end, and Ohio State said, LOL, go away. We just ended your season. Have fun convincing your donors that Sharon Moore's the guy all off season. And then Ohio State also said, LOL, Michigan, we beat you by preparing like we're about to play Rutgers and UCLA and Purdue.
And there's an element to it of like, why are you guarding your logo? Because you think we're like you?
Yeah.
Sometimes Ohio State not planting the flag. Sometimes
someone tweeted at me and was like, Michigan was protecting the block end while Ohio State was doing snow angels.
That's the first thing I noticed. Is like Brandon Ennis doing snow angels and just looking for the Ohio against the wolf flag, not to plant it, just to hold it. That's just. You think we're like you? No.
Sometimes
you're not like me, man.
Sometimes a weak act of pity is the deepest act of cruelty. When you're like, don't worry, we won't do it. We got it. It's fine.
Well, okay.
And you just walk off.
I have to say, Will Kazmaier did kind of try to do it.
He did.
Right? He told him no.
But what do you expect from someone? What do you expect? I'm joking. I'm joking. Will Kazmaier. I just said that because these two guys would tell you.
I expect a man of action, Will.
I think that
fulfilled my
You know what I saw? You know what I saw? A man who bleeds for the state of Ohio. A man who loves his.
A man who knows where his beat goes.
He's from Missouri.
Ohio is home.
All right. Well, we can wrap this up. He's from Missouri. But I do think that's a good point. There's a way Michigan goes about this rivalry, and there's a way that Ohio State's going to go about this rivalry. And but I love that. They're on polar opposite ends of the spectrum because they're rivals, and they should be. You should be anti-everything Michigan if you're on the Ohio State side. You should be anti-everything Ohio State if you're on the Michigan side. And every year, at the end of November, the weekend of Thanksgiving, they're going to come together and see whose side actually is better. Michigan side was better for 4 years, and now Ohio State side is better. I also think Ohio State side might be a little bit more sustainable in this climate of they have to go play the number 2 team in the country again next week. So they can't do what they did in 2020 where they get on this emotional high because they got revenge on Clemson. And again, I understand there were a lot of players missing, but you got to find when you're a juice guy, you have to find a way to bring that every moment. That's the thing about being a performative dude. It's like dating a girl. After you've already given her a standard of how you're going to treat her, You can't. That's your floor now. You got to bring that every time.
You bring roses early. You better bring.
You better bring roses all the time. You're the rose guy now. You've got to bring the roses.
You better perform.
Okay. You just, but seriously, once you like, and that's like people though. Once you present a standard of how this is how you're going to approach things, that's your floor.
And Ryan Day showed us that, right? Like going back to Lou Holtz thing. A lot of people found that cringe. A lot of people were like, "This is performative. This is forced." And what happened last year when they beat Notre Dame and they won the national title? And Ryan Day proved everyone wrong. Everyone was like, he's about to go on to Lou Holtz. He didn't do that.
I had a conversation with Ryan Day back in the offseason, and I admitted that to him. Like, I asked him a question at the national championship where I was essentially setting himself, giving him, like, hey, you can go at us now, man. You're right. You won a national championship. And this is why, this is based, like, he doesn't want to be that. It's like, why do I need to be performative? I'm just going to be me. If you want to be a Buckeye, come be a Buckeye. If you don't, you don't.
We're watching a first-time head coach kind of like form who he is as he does it, right? There was a lot of the ways that he was trying to be like Urban Meyer, and it's just like that's not who he is, and that's not a good or a bad thing. It is what it is.
And once you figure that out, maybe you flip a rivalry and you win a national championship. 1-4-350-3315 2-week free trial, $3.99 after that. That'll do it. Leave No Doubt Pod coming to you Monday. I don't
see the yard lines on the field anymore. There's a lot of snow.
Not great.
For people who like dancing on Michigan's grave, can we just, in the spirit of finding your identity, Michigan doesn't have this "we own the rivalry" thing anymore. So they have to figure out who are they.
Yeah.
And while they do that, here's their schedule last year. Here's some of the teams they play. Oklahoma again. That'll be here. Number 2 team in the country, undefeated here. Penn State. Who knows? But
could be good.
Once a very powerful program here. Michigan State rivalry game. They used to win those. I don't know anymore. Then at Ohio State, at Oregon. Man, that's a lot of losable football games.
Yeah. I mean, Ohio State's schedule's not easy next year either. But
I mean, you add on top of that, I don't know. Minnesota could have to be decent next year.
Ohio State's got difficult. A lot of teams actually have difficult schedules next year. But to the point of Ryan Day got to spend 7 years figuring out what he was as a coach, while also still winning football games, even if he lost some important ones. I think if you're Ohio State, I think you'd rather be in a position where your head coach was figuring it out while still going at least 10-2 every year, versus being on the other end of that where your rivalry is, where he's trying to figure it out. And 9-3 was a blessing. 614-350-3315 2-week free trial, $3.99 after that. Monday, Leave No Doubt Pod. I think Stefan and I are just going to go look at the 20-play drive where Ohio – I think Ryan Day was out to prove a point with that 20-play drive, and he was a little annoyed it didn't end in a touchdown because he's a sicko. But I just think that drive was like – that was as much of a message as it was a necessity at that point in the game, where it's a 20-play drive and you have it for like 11-plus minutes of the game. That essentially, like, I don't want to say sealed the game, but it definitely made it very clear that Michigan was probably not going to have the chance to win this game. Routine is routine, so we're going to get Ryan Day on Tuesday.
No. I don't think that's true. I think we're going to get something from the Big Ten. It sounds like we were going to talk to Day and Cignetti on Sunday.
Yeah.
Get some combination of Day and players on Monday, and then Wednesday for signing day.
You're changing the routine already, huh?
Indiana money line. Well, you can't.
You win one Michigan.
Well, actually, I kind of get that. No, I get it from a logistics standpoint of, do we really need to be...
Are they flying to Indy?
Do we really need to talk to... Probably. Do they really need to talk to Ryan Day Tuesday and Wednesday back-to-back? But yeah, it's signing day week coming up, Big Ten championship week coming up, a lot happening still because the sport doesn't make sense and doesn't know how to put a regular schedule together. So 614-350-3315, 2-week free trial, $3.99 after that. For Andrew, Stefan, and Jimmy, I'm Steven. Talk to you guys later.
The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in more places that could expose you more to identity theft. But LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our US-based restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Don't face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or financial losses alone. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.